Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel and thanks for tuning in. A couple of guys requested a video that I show how I skin my either fox or coyotes. They're both done about the same way, and so I finally got a video of me skinning a fox. This is not the fastest way, I'm sure I'll say that again in the video, but it just works for me. So I tried to do the best I could, try to get close-up shots of everything. And if you don't like graphic videos, this is not one for you to watch. And if you're a hater, you might just go and leave your comment so that I can go delete it as quickly as possible. Alright, thanks for tuning in, and I hope this helps some people out. Thanks. Okay, so I've had a couple of requests to show a video on how I skin a fox or a coyote, or basically a canine. They're done, I do them the same way. If you're looking for speed or something, I'm not a speedy skinner, but I try to do as nice a job as possible. I watch some of those videos, guys doing coyotes in 3 minutes. It's amazing, but I'm not a 3-minute guy, I can tell you that. I got my own little way I do it, and I'm sure I'll change as I go, the more I do, but this is just the way I do it. And some of the tools I use, basically, you can get away with just using a knife. So I use this Weeby knife for most of my cuts on the fur and everything. And I use this fillet knife. It actually works good. I find it works really well for getting down into the tail, and I use it for cutting on the eyes because this is really easy to resharpen and stuff. I hate dulling knives and stuff. I'm not a good resharpener, but this thing is pretty easy to resharpen. And these you don't desperately need, but they're very handy. Tail stripper, that helps a lot. This tail zipper to cut the tail open. I mean, you don't have to have them. And this steel hunk of steel rod. I basically made this out of an old torque wrench or something. I can't remember, but basically that's good for poking through on the front arms and stuff, and for raccoons doing the hind legs. So I'm gonna get to showing some of this stuff. Some of this stuff is repetitive. Like I'll show one back leg. Obviously there's two, and I'll show one front leg, and I'll show one ear and one eye. I'm not going to show double of everything, that there's two things, so for time purposes. So I'm going to get started on one of the back legs. I'll do it, and then I'll come back to show you how I get around the tail and stuff. So this is where I use my Weeby knife. Alright, I used to ring around here, but I was always hacking tendons and dulling knives and stuff. So for me, like I said, I'm not into speed. There's a tendon right here. I always come to right on the inside of this tendon, and there's usually a fur change right along here. Hopefully this is picking up really well. So I go on the inside of this tendon to start with, and I don't cut it. I'm right up at the heel here. I just poke my knife in here, and I'm just going to slide right up along that tendon to start with. Usually when the fur is really thick, it can be harder to skin, but that's a good thing. And I'm going to head right, this is a male, so I'm heading right for its balls, I guess, so right for its testicles. And then I open that up. If there's fur getting in the way, don't complain, that's a good thing. And then what I do, instead of ringing it, I just sort of go around here. The more practice you get at this, the easier it becomes. And I'm trying to do this and look through the camera at the same time. Just cut a little bit at a time. And pull. I basically work my way up underneath the skin. And I skin a lot of the leg out to start with. Especially on coyotes. Because on coyotes, they're going into my skinning machine no matter what. Keep working my thumb up underneath here. So I get out the other side. Put my knife through there, through the hole I got. Cut the remainder of that fur off. That's all free now. I'm going to just pull that down. If you do reds, They're very easy to rip. They have paper thin skin. Take your time and pull slowly on a red. Definitely. I'm gonna pull down. These are my brother sent me a text today. He said, "Have fun skinning a gray. It's better than a coyote," and definitely is. And I don't get in a big hurry. I'd rather do a nice job on the animal. There, so I got the first leg pulled down. Nice and neat. Cut around here. Like I said, you can ring around there if you want. For me, it just saved my knives. Saved me on dulling knives. So I'm going to shut the camera off. I'm going to switch around. I'm going to do the other leg. And then when I come back, I'll have both feet up in the gambrel. Okay, so I pulled both legs down now. Alright, like I said, it's a repetitive process. Before I go to the tail, I like to get up underneath the genitalia here. This is a male. So you work your fingers through here. Like I said, you can use a steel, but you don't want to be poking that thing into the guts. You're better off just working your fingers up under the fur here till you can get through. Put the knife under here. Just cut that tuft of fur off. I mean, still got his penis in here and stuff, but we'll get that out later in the fleshing process. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to come back here and start working around the tail. I'm going to yank down some of the fur here. Now this is where, like on coyotes, this can be a bugger. It is for me anyway, like trying to get up underneath the tail. I gotta turn my camera down a little bit, I think. That or I'll raise up. Nice part about the winch. Okay, that's in pretty good view now, I think. So I got the anus here. I'm gonna poke my knife. Basically, just want to cut around the anus and back right up through here. Making cuts here, be very careful. So I'm working my fingers up underneath the tail. I'm going to come over to the other side. Like if you're doing a coyote and they're hard to pull and stuff, don't feel alone. I mean, you watch the fast guys on the internet and stuff. I don't know how they do it that fast really, but trying to pull here, you might have to cut. Like on this gray, I don't have to do this, but if I'm doing a coyote, I almost always have to make small cuts here and pull as I work my way under the tail. But as far as the gray goes, I can just work my finger right on through there. I got my finger through there. And pull down a little bit. This is where I switch to this fillet knife. It just seems, for me, it just seems to get up underneath that tail a little easier for me. Slide that in there a little bit. Try to cut down as straight as you can. And then you want to cut up underneath the tail a little bit. You've got to be careful. You don't want to be cutting the fur. I mean, the tail's not necessary to even have on there. You can probably hack the whole tail off and you might not get top lot fur or anything like that. But it's probably not going to downgrade. Strip the tail down. Now this is where if you don't have a tail puller, you can just keep doing this process over and over again until you get down there. But it's nice to have one. I probably did a little more than I really have to. I'm gonna put my tail puller on there. Pull the tail out. I'm gonna take my tail stripper. At least that's what I call it. Zipper. I'm gonna cut that tail open the whole way. If you didn't see it, basically that just hooks in there, strips the tail down. So now my tail is completely opened up here, the whole way down. Now that I'm using wooden stretchers, I can pin that open and drive that out very nice. Now basically I'm going to pull down on the hide, down towards the chest. This is where I'd be hooking a coyote to my puller. Alright, so I got it pulled here. I can see the shoulders are starting to pop through here. If you look here, these are tick bites here. Not too many on this one. Let's see. Red fox usually are covered in tick bites. This one don't have too many really. Right here is the shoulder area. This is where you can start working your fingers in here and pushing in here. And you want to be very careful with trying to cut, like in this area. It seems to be an easy area to actually nick the fur. And keep yanking down on the fur some. This is where I can take this steel rod sometimes and poke it right on through there. I can see it wanting to come through. Poke that right through there. Now I'm just going to pull down. Get my leg exposed here. I always cut a bunch of the front leg off to start with. For me, it just helps me in the fleshing process. I can hold the leg back and flesh around the leg a lot easier. I eventually just cut most of it off. Cut around the leg here. You don't gotta be very neat here. None of this affects price. Like I said, most of that's gonna be cut off later. Alright, now I'm gonna shut the camera off and I'm gonna repeat that process. Okay, so I got both front legs pulled through. You can see I take a lot of the legs off. Now I'm gonna start pulling down over the head. This is where I'm gonna get a little bit tight. If it's tough to pull, sometimes you can just pull it right up over the ears and stuff. If it's tough, do most of your cutting on the back of the neck. You don't want to be cutting up here where the jugular vein, the carotid artery and stuff come through. You slice them, you're going to have blood flying everywhere. I'm just going to try to pull some. It's pretty hard to pull right now, so I'm just going to take my knife, pull one hand and just going to lightly slice right above the fur. You start to see a little roll in it. That's when you can try to pull a little more. Now I see more of that starting to expose. Sinewy stuff. Cut a little more. Now I'm going to cut up front a little bit. I know it said just be very careful here. Just lightly cut there. Especially if you got a really sharp knife, which this one is. I can see one of the, I'm not sure if that's one of the arteries right here. You slice that and you're going to have blood flying everywhere. There's the other one on the other side. Another yank. And we're cutting. If you've never done this before, which I'm assuming, maybe if you're watching my video, I'm not an expert, but I just take my time. Hopefully it's still in view here. You can see a few more tick bites. That's where they can't scratch as much. Definitely don't hit one of them arteries. Usually getting up over the head can be a little bit of a pull match here. Sometimes I put my knee up on the fur and pull down a little bit. There, it comes up over the head now. Neck's always skinny, then it has to get up over the head here. I'll lower it down so you can see that. Got a real skinny neck and you're trying to yank it up over this head basically. As soon as you get it up over the ball of the head, I can feel the ear cartilage in here. I end up ripping that out, so I just yank down quite a bit. That gets a lot of the ear cartilage pulled right out, but I'm going to still cut it up high here. This is where I use my junk ear knife. Cut down through that cartilage. I'll probably show the rest of it from here on out, both ears. This doesn't take too long. Cut that ear. That ear's cut out. Now we're going to work our way down to the eyes. Got a little bit of blood coming here. Once you get the ear, that can give you a finger hold too to pull on. If you stick your thumb in there, you can start to feel the eye sockets. Right there where I start cutting straight into it. And if you make a mess on the eyes, that's not all that important. I mean, it's mostly for presentation. I'm going to start pulling down here. There's that first eye popping out. Second eye should be coming up here. And I missed a little bit of it right there. I nicked it. No big deal. Most of that blood right there is going to be fleshed off. And right after the eye, that's usually where we can start hitting the jawbone and getting the lips to start coming, right after the eyeball. So I'm going to cut straight into here a little bit. You can see the lip just starting to pull right here. Flip to the other side. The eye's out. Cutting the jaw. This is where I don't want to use my Weeby knife and dull them off all the time. The eyes give me another finger hold. Pull down. And I just ripped it a little bit on the eye. No big deal really, I ain't even sweating that. The bottom lip, unnecessary. Stick my knife right through there. I'm going to hack that bottom lip right off of there. Now I'm just going to work my way down to the nose. Pulling a little bit, lightly cutting. I think it's easy to tell how I dispatch this fox, so. Get down to the nose, cut the nose cartilage off. We're done. Really, really nice fur on this fox. These two fox I caught this year, I think they're in prime as they get. Really nice gray fox. That's the end. Time for fleshing, Bane.